GILBERT.
Alrighty, and you are running for which district?
Running for Texas Congressional District 1.
Alrighty. So tell me a little bit about why you decided to run and kind of your campaign and that kind of stuff.
Well, my wife had wanted me to get in this race a few cycles ago, but I ran statewide in 2006 and 2010 as the Democratic nominee for Texas Ag Commissioner, and learned a lot. But in the meantime, my business suffered, so I wanted to stay away and rebuild my business and be around my kids as they were growing up. But my wife passed away 2 years ago, the 1st of September. And what really got me in this race, I was watching the Mueller hearings. And the Democrats, Republicans both came into that hearing with an agenda. I think early on they saw that maybe Mr. Mueller wasn't the Mr. Mueller that they had seen in years past. They all got their points across, but they did it with respect, and they showed him respect, which I admired from both sides, because my oldest brother was a Vietnam vet, and he passed away at age 58. But he came back with a chip on his shoulder and very bitter because of that war. And for this man to have been a Purple Heart recipient, devoted his life to public service, he deserved that respect. And then Representative Gohmert questioned him. No respect whatsoever. I mean, just went off the rails and never really made a point. And as soon as he finished with his question, I heard a voice in my ear. It said, "It's time." And I knew that a little angel was telling me that it was time to get up and do something. And so I immediately got on the phone and started calling some of my people and saying, "This is what I want to do."
Great. So a little bit about your campaign and kind of the points that you stand for and that kind of stuff.
Well, I was raised, as most people who grew up here were, raised as a conservative Democrat, fiscal conservative, moral conservative. And I still feel that a large majority of the people that live in this district, in this East Texas area, still hold those beliefs. They've just migrated and started voting for Republicans, thinking that they were voting for the most conservative party. Yet history shows that when the Republicans are in control in Washington, they have runaway spending, big government, everything that true fiscal conservatives would be opposed to. So my message will be that of a fiscal conservative. The only difference between me and I guess whether my opponent would profess to be is that I want to serve all the people in the district, not just a select group of people in the district. That's what a representative's for. Unfortunately, our current representative has never held a town hall in the district, never asked the people what they want him to be doing, what their needs are, whereas I have proposed that if elected, 2 times a year I'll hold a public town hall in every county of the district, because I'm up there to represent everybody in this district, and I want to know what they think. I want to know what they want me to do when I get there. That is true representation.
Gotcha. So with all of the impeachment inquiry stuff in the news, tell me a little bit about kind of your reaction to all of that, and then kind of where you fall in the spectrum of agreeing, disagreeing, that kind of stuff.
Well, I look at it as a constitutional procedure. When you are elected President of the United States, when you are elected as a member of the House of Representatives or the Senate, you swear on a Bible to take an oath to uphold the Constitution and protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. The President, particularly in light of what has come out in the last 24 to 48 hours on his conversations with Ukraine, is not only a violation of our Constitution, it's a violation of our law. And there are procedures within the Constitution and within our laws. The framers of our Constitution put procedures in there for an incident just like this. If a president did this particular thing, here's the steps you go through. And those steps are impeachment, which is broken down first into an inquiry to gather all the facts, evaluate all the evidence before you move into the actual articles of impeachment. So what I believe that Speaker Pelosi did the right thing, that she's called officially for an impeachment inquiry. And Representative Gohmert sits on one of those 6 committees that are going to be investigating this. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee. And I would implore upon him, as a member of this district, of his district, to do all that he can do to obtain the facts. You know, for over a decade he served as a district judge, and he made rulings and determinations based on fact, not based on politics, not based on political parties. I implore of him to do the same thing as a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Look at the facts, evaluate the facts, make your decision on what the facts show you.
Great, that's a really good answer. So, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but if you were up to you, yes or no, should the president be impeached, what would you say?
If the president, after evaluating the facts, if the president did indeed try to influence the upcoming election with the help of a leader of a foreign government, then yes, I would vote to impeach, because that is a direct violation of the law and of our Constitution.
Great. A little less controversial. So I did a story yesterday about registering to vote. What would your words of wisdom be to someone? So I've never voted in a presidential election. I'm fairly young. I have been able to vote in them, but I have not. What would you tell someone like me, regardless of political affiliation, why they need to vote? What would you suggest to them?
Well, several things. If you look back through history, we became a country, a democracy, because we had leaders that were bold enough to break away from the pack, looking for something better and a better future and a better life for the citizenry. Throughout history, we have fought countless wars. Countless Americans have died protecting your right to vote and your right to have a democracy. My brother fought for that right. You've had relatives probably that fought for that right. When you don't participate in the democracy, not only are you letting them down, you're letting yourself down. Everything that's happening in Washington right now will have more of an impact on a younger person's life than it will someone my age. Because the decisions that are being made now are going to determine how you're able to live your life and get to be my age. It's been told, and I hear it all the time throughout this district, well, I've been told for years my vote don't count. Never believe that. Everybody's vote counts. Everybody's voice counts. That's what makes a democracy. When you don't take that opportunity, or you're encouraged not to take that opportunity, then you're allowing power to influence and dictate how you're going to live the rest of your life. So registering to vote, getting out and voting every time you can in every election, not only is that your right, that's your privilege. That's the gateway to your future.
So I don't know if you're very familiar with the Texas Right for Life group, but last night the city of Gilbert actually voted, the city council voted to become the fifth or sixth sanctuary city for the unborn. Would you say that, do you think we're gonna see more of that? It's really started in all these like small Northeast Texas towns, but Gilmert's the biggest one to date. Do you see that happening? Because I know you said you're a conservative Democrat. Do you see that spreading to more of this area and possibly even Smith County, which is in the district?
I don't know. I mean, it's that's kind of like a generic movement, and I think a lot of it depends upon what the makeup of a particular city government is. I don't know that it has any type of legal binding standing other than just to be able to name yourself that. You know, abortion is a very controversial issue, and it's a very personal issue. I think more in the past decade, it's become more of a political tool than it has actually become a religious outlook. You know, I consider myself a Christian, born, raised in a country church, and you know, try to live my life as best I can in that direction. Sin every day, just like everybody else does, but ask for forgiveness every night. And I, as an ex-school teacher, I know several women that have had to make that decision. As a matter of fact, I probably know some that are grown women now that I was probably one of the very few that knew that they had to make that decision. And I talk to some of them occasionally, and these are women that are 25 and 30 years older now, and they're still distraught over that. You know, I think that it's been blown out of proportion, that people think that women actually just go do it to do it, and it's something that, you know, like a second thought. I don't know of anyone that I know of that has had abortion in the past that still doesn't bother them. But my outlook too is that that's a decision that they made, and that's a decision that they're going to answer for one day. They're going to have to answer for. But that's not a decision that I should dictate. I don't think it's the decision that the government should dictate, because if we allow the government to dictate what a woman can do with her body, what's next? Are they going to start dictating what a man can do with his body? Are they going to start dictating where you can go and when you can go? You know, for conservatives who really don't like government overreach, it's kind of playing both sides of the coin. You either don't like the government overreach or you do, because that's what I consider this to be.
Last one. You know, we've had a lot of recent mass shootings, one here in our state, in El Paso, and then the Midland, Odessa incident. Kind of what is your stance, and where do you fall as far as background checks and taking guns away, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, like abortion, I think it's the same way on gun rights. You can fret over it, you can do whatever you can say what you want to say, but I would almost bet my farm that 100 years from now, the same laws are going to be on the books that are today. Okay? I own a lot of guns. I love to quail hunt. And I have a particular rifle that I use to shoot hogs that tear up my pastures, and another one that I shoot snakes and stuff with. The government's never going to take away your guns, ever. It'll never happen in this country. Do I think that there are measures that can be taken to, if not alleviate, but to curtail these mass shootings? Yes, I do. And one thing that I will propose in this campaign is to do away with extended magazines. You know, like I said, I own several guns, and I shoot hogs all the time. And I've got hogs I can get within 20 yards of, but I never get a fourth shot. I don't have a gun that'll hold over 5 bullets. Don't need it. If I can't kill it in that many shots, I don't need them. Just wasted bullets. You know, I've had people tell me we need the extended magazines for people that hog hunt out of helicopters. I would venture to say that of the majority of the people that live in Senate or Congressional District 1, very few can afford the $600 to $800 an hour to fly in a helicopter and shoot at hogs. And even then I would question, out of 100 shots, how many hogs did you actually hit? So I think limiting the magazine capacity would go a long way to prevent a lot of these mass shootings, because if they have to constantly change clips, it gives somebody the opportunity to take them out or take them down. As far as a ban on assault weapons, I'm totally against a taking assault weapons or a mandatory buyback or whatever of assault weapons. However, I will introduce legislation for a voluntary buyback. And if you want to sell back to the government, if you want to sell to the government your assault weapons or your extended magazines, in my proposal, the government will pay you 50% over retail if you want to voluntarily sell those guns back. The reason I said 50% over retail, people are going to say, how can the government afford that? You know, you're a Democrat, you want to spend money. No, I'm a conservative, I want to save money. Right now the military is spending on average $1,400 a gun for something similar to an AR-15 or an AK-47. If we can buy them back at 50% over retail price, in my plan, all those guns and all those clips will go to the military. They won't be destroyed. They'll be given to the military, which will save us money in our defense budget. As far as background checks, I'm a firm believer that no gun should be able to be purchased without a background check.
Please call 800, add 800, please.
Currently, there's no background checks at gun shows, but there could be.